but yeah, so I started my career in TV news in Topeka, Kansas. Went on to cities and markets like Jackson, Mississippi, Denver, New York, and then I joined the network. I carried out my rewrite, if you will, in 2018. My first job was at Alaska Airlines, where I was a senior communications partner. And then I went on to Amazon, where I was a senior program manager for 4 years. And now I'm at LinkedIn via Cushman and Wakefield. Basically, LinkedIn outsourced all of their workplace teams to Cushman and Wakefield. And I'm on the leadership team of that account. And so we basically operate and manage all of LinkedIn's corporate offices across NAMR, North America, which ranges from San Francisco, South Bay, Toronto, New York City, Washington, D.C., and more. And so I've been here since December and really loving it. And one thing that we're going to show you today is just how much your skills as a journalist are really in demand in other industries. And we'll dive into that a little bit. And let's hope that Aundrea can make it. There we go. Much better. Okay.
Sorry.
Girl, I ain't anchored in many years, so I was a little loose with my, a little rusty with my ad-libbing.
Look, I am actually a little bit sick today, and it's like part for the course for like everything. But we're gonna get through this because it's like really important for us to be here and to chat with everybody. So
yes, and I just got through with my introduction, so it's perfect.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Hey, y'all. Hey, I'm Aundrea Cline-Thomas. I was a local news reporter for more than 15 years, made my way up the East Coast, started in Macon, Georgia, ended in New York City, launched my rewrite in July of 2022. I chose entrepreneurship. I said I am a glutton for punishment because I am. It's the hardest thing ever, but it's also extraordinarily fulfilling. I have created a strategic storytelling agency called Mountain Corp Media, and I have worked with clients including Microsoft, The Atlantic Magazine, Morgan Stanley, and a few others. I've been able to do a lot of fun stuff and continue to stay creative. You know, I know that's a thing that a lot of people fear. I feared it. I thought, oh my God, am I going to be in a cubicle hating my whole entire life? And I don't. I'm in these streets all the time, and I'm still creating. And I've also created a podcast called The Next Best Thing that talks about career and life transitions more broadly. So happy that you're here. Thank you so much for trusting us with your journey. We really love to engage with you in this way, and just really wanting to tell you a little bit more about the rewrite, because so many of you are new here, which is lovely to see. You know, the rewrite was created in response to the instability in this industry. Personally, when I made my transition, I was then thrust in new spaces, corporate spaces, and they operate differently. They speak differently. Their focus is different. So I knew that skills did transfer, but I had to adopt a whole different vocabulary. I had to learn new technology. I had to speak differently. And I was like, do people really know that this is really what's going on this side? And so the rewrite, we're here to be your translators so we can shorten the learning curve in the face of so many people with these similar skills out in the marketplace. How can we help you get a competitive edge? And we believe you can run towards something and not away from something. We believe that we are asking you, what do you want your life to look like? What do you want? Nobody asks you that in news. They say, this is a newsroom, you fit into the system. But we want you to pause and say, what do you want your life to look like? And then we want to partner with you to help you get there. And so that's what the rewrite is all about. And we are video people, though. So sometimes it's just easier for us to show you better than we can tell you.
When I think about engaging with journalists, it's very rooted in helping them understand remember their why, about why they got into the field, but also helping them understand the importance of when something is no longer serving you and it's really time for a transition.
With some easy tweaks to your profile, optimizing, popping in keywords, you can be very discoverable by people looking to fill roles at their organizations that you might be a really good fit for.
Once you take the assessment and you're thinking about you, there's nobody else, you're thinking about you because we want to take a full scan of who you are. There's going to be follow-up in the program of debriefing the results. What comes out of this is a 24-page detailed document summarizing your personality, your interests, your skills, and your values, and really having that be the design for your next big thing.
I put on LinkedIn today that you can dream a new dream for yourself. You have one dream. We are the dreamers. We made our dreams happen. Like, we can pat ourselves on the back. But there also can be new dreams. There can be adjusted dreams that like are even more amazing. This season is better than my new season was. And what people know me for now, I was in obscurity, and they know me now more for like being able to help people in a way that I want to be recognized, right? So that kind of spoke to how we do this. We partner with experts, and then we curate programming. So we package it all up for you. So you don't have to go all over the place, and there's no figuring it out here. We package it up for you. You follow the plan, you get the information, and then you can see results. So we're going to be telling you more about some of the programs that we have in a little bit, but you are here today to learn the first steps.
Yes. And first off, we know that many of you might be here. You might have recently faced a layoff or was told your job was eliminated after the election. I've been in that situation. From my perspective, I know there's very few things that anyone can say to make you feel better in that moment. But I know one thing that I've experienced through all of my downturns is that those disappointments have turned into moments that I look back and I'm grateful for. From my story, when I left CBS News, it wasn't on my own accord. I was pushed out. And so it was the worst thing that ever happened to me in my life. It was a dark time, but 6 years now, looking back, I'm grateful that it happened. And when we put together the rewrite, Aundrea and I always say that we kind of made the mistakes so you don't have to. And I'm really proud that we've been able to pour all of that into the rewrite. And I'm really excited to welcome you into the community here. And so also just want to let you know, it's okay to feel those feelings right now. That's totally normal. I think feeling those feelings really will help pump you and guide you through your next steps.
Yeah, and that's the thing over here. We don't tell you how to feel.
Mm-hmm.
We don't police your feelings. We normalize it because we're not accountants. We're not attorneys. You know what I mean? Like, we sacrifice. We didn't come out for like a big old check. We came out because we wanted to be of service to communities. We came out because we wanted to make a difference. We came out because we did this and we sacrificed over and over and over again because this came from a deep place. Mm-hmm. So we don't trivialize it. We also don't tell you to just pick up and leave. Yeah. We never say that. This is your life. You make your decisions that are best for you. We are your co-pilot here to help you reach whatever dream that you have for yourself. We are here to help you get options, because I always say when you have options, you have leverage. And when you have leverage, you don't have to take crumbs and you don't have to settle for life. You can thrive in your next season. So that's what we are all about. So we're going to break down just a few steps. All of this seems just like, oh my God, like it's just so much happening, right? And you're like, where do I even begin? Because everything feels and seems urgent. So step one, do not panic. Do not panic. We really want you to understand, again, we're not going to police your feelings, but you really have to start asking yourself some really clear questions about, okay, this is happening, or this could happen. You got to run a scenario. What are some of the questions that I really need to start asking myself? Starting for the first one, how much money do you have in your savings? We're not airy-fairy, like chase your dreams. No. We're grown. We're grown-ups. Most people in this community have been in news for more than 10 years. You're grown-ups. You got big people bills. How much money do you have in your savings? If you are laid off, how much money are you going to get in your severance package? How do you find that out? If you have a union shop, you have to look at your union contract, talk to your shop steward to find out like what the contract says about what you're owed. If you have a contract, look at the clauses in your contract. If you are negotiating a contract right now, do not just negotiate the money, negotiate the exit. Especially now, you must negotiate how you are going to exit. Somebody had told me, do not, a former lawyer said, who I used to work with, she never, oh no,
you're still here.
Yeah, a former lawyer told me, never walk in a door that you don't know how to walk out of. Never walk in a door you don't know how to walk out of. So the same energy you have for the how much you're getting paid, you need to have that same energy for how you can leave, how much time they have to give you, how much notice they have to give you, how much you're going to get paid. So take a look at your contract to know that. What is your for real budget? Like for real, not like, oh, I can eat ramen every day. Like, don't, come on.
Did it in college.
Yeah, that's not real, right? Like that is unsustainable. We are grown. What is a real budget? And what can you cut? I'm not talking about cutting your therapist. I'm not talking about cutting your gym membership. It is looking at your budget and what are the things that don't have a return on your investment. You know, this is a time when sometimes people are like, I just need to go in scarcity. I just need to lock it down. That is actually not a good thing to do. What you do need to do is scrutinize that everything that you spend money on needs to be able to feed you and return on you and be a return on your investment. The rewrite is a return on your investment not because I said it, because we have wins to show for it, right?
Yep.
And people make their money back quite quickly, actually. So we're really proud of that. So what is your real life budget? Your therapist is a return on investment. Do not stop talking to your therapist. Your gym membership is a return on your investment. You might not be able to go out to eat as much, but you still need to be in community. Do not shut off your friends. You will need people more now than ever before. So once you ask yourself these questions, I hope y'all are taking notes. Once you ask, well, we're going to recap at the end. This is going to let you know how much time you can spend without making a dime. We really need to have, if we're going to panic, we need to have the facts, right? We got to know what we're working with, right? So we're journalists. We are collecting data. This is just data. How long can you go in a worst case scenario where you do not make a dime? How long can you go? You need to understand. When I left, I had 4 months saved, and then I got a gig and some other stuff that added like 2 months, a month and a half, 2 months to it. And so then I knew, okay, if I didn't make another, like I knew the date really where I needed a check. And so everybody really, we need to be really honest here about what we're working with.
Yeah. And also right now we've learned too, like a great question to ask is, who do I know? Who do you know right now? I can tell you in my own journey, every job I've gotten outside of news since I left news has been through someone I knew, except this one. This was my first job, thankfully, that I've had to like carry out a real traditional kind of job search. And so there's power in who you know. You know that old saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know. There's no better time than now to embrace that. And like Aundrea said, you know, the first instinct is to always just go into your shell and just isolate yourself. No, this is the time where you need to be out there, networking, getting to meet new people. I can tell you, last year I got laid off from Amazon in August of last year. It took me six months or so to get a new job. This is a very competitive and tight job market. Not trying to ring my own bell, but even with the great experience I had in Amazon, it's highly respected when you have it on your resume. It still took me quite a bit of time to find a job. And I found this job because I was just applying, I was networking with folks, trying to, just expanding my network on LinkedIn. So that's definitely a key question that you need to ask right now as well.
Yeah. And the thing is that I'm finding and doing these one-on-ones that sometimes people, because of the circumstances, because they may have left and they're feeling really bad about it, that they don't want to tell anybody.
Mm-hmm.
That's the wrong thing to do. Mm-hmm. People want to help you, and they can't help you if they don't know you need help. Start with the people you trust.
Yep.
Start with the people you trust. I was asked a question. I was in a bad predicament in one job, and an executive coach said, if you got laid off today, who are the 3 people you would call? Not to commiserate with, but the 3 people who could make an introduction, who can open a door. I only knew one person. And then he said, you've got some work to do. So if you're somebody who in that money conversation and you've got less than 6 months saved, you really got to tap into your community to really kind of put their thumb on the scale and help you get seen. For step 3, celebrate yourself.
Yeah, most definitely. And don't be afraid. Like, journalists are actually, I was in a meeting the other day with some cohorts from different accounts that I know, and I was showing them some of the successes we've had at LinkedIn, and I told the crowd, I was like, if you're looking for a communications person or someone who's really adaptable to join your team, there are a lot of journalists now out there. Find you a journalist. We are adaptable, we're agile, we are masters and experts in a whole bunch of things all at once. We're experts at learning new things really quickly. And so I say that to say that you need to, when you are networking with people, be proud of your superpowers, be proud of your skills. You need to brag. I'm sure there are countless things that you can talk about that could help market yourself in this kind of job market. There are countless things. For me personally, one of the big things that I've leaned on since I left TV news is my power and my superpower with video. 84% of all communications online right now are video based. And so if you're a television news reporter, you're an expert at storytelling. You're an expert at creating video narratives. Those skills are needed in corporate spaces. And, and no matter what you want to do, those kind of skills are needed. So brag a little bit more about yourself. As journalists, we're so used to telling everyone else's story. And then when it comes to our story, it's just like, oh yeah, and guess what? We have the outcomes. We have the data to back it up too. And if you're a journalist, if you're an on-air reporter, or you're a producer, YouTube, you can find data on your stories for your resume. So like, say for instance, you're trying to become a content creator at a brand or something like that. Look on YouTube for the data, the views. That's powerful data that you can use on your resume or use when you're connecting with someone. I remember I was meeting with someone like 2 years ago when she was considering trying to leave the industry, and I was helping her come up with data for her resume. And I did just a scant search on YouTube. One of her stories had 1 million views. If you're trying to apply for a content position, who wouldn't want to hire someone who's produced content that had 1 million views? That's a huge success. So that just shows you kind of how easy it is for you to find that data to back up your bragging, if you will. And one good thing, starting point for you in that bragging is ask yourself, what are the 5 things you're most proud of from your career? That's a good starting point for you as you're framing your story and putting your story together finally.
Because the thing is that people are going to ask, how can I help you?
Mm-hmm.
And you can't just say, I just need a job.
Yeah.
that doesn't give them an understanding about what they can do. So you really have to sit with yourself and deconstruct, like, where have I been? What have I done? And what do I want my future to look like? Again, to give people the elements they need to talk you up in other rooms that you might not be privy to, right? And so you have to, that's why we call this the rewrite and not the restart or the whatever, is because you have to retell your story or maybe tell it for the first time.
Yeah.
Journalists Journalism teaches us to do the opposite. Journalism teaches us to completely ignore ourselves. In this moment, we can no longer do that at all. So, so this is my favorite part. And I tell everybody, you got to go outside. You got to go outside, guys. Like we talked about having friends and all of this. Right now, you can. Everything is about, I look at it as like a mountain, right? How steep do you want your climb to be? You can sit at home and apply, and hope something hits. That's a real steep climb. You can go outside and meet people and see if they can recommend you for something, and then apply for the things that they recommend you for. And then they got a little, because in companies, when somebody comes with a referral, they're definitely going to be given a look, right? Because there are always referral programs and stuff like that. Because guess what? Friends hire friends. So it's not about having a transactional relationship. It's just about meeting people who are cool, right? So again, sign up for one event. And especially, again, if that money conversation, like right now, like this week, I need you to sign up for one event. It doesn't have to be an event this week, but I need you to sign up for one event. And no, it's not a journalism event. We need you out the bubble. Get out the bubble. Go to something where you know nobody and it's uncomfortable. Make 3 friends and then follow up.
Yeah.
But find one event. Fun fact, not only has every dollar I've made since I left come from a friend, outside of my first gig, everything else wasn't put on LinkedIn. No other job was actually posted. I was asked to do the things because I was top of mind, because I keep talking to people and I put my story out there. And so some of the stuff, it's not like a secondary, sometimes people call it all these crazy names, like secondary, I don't know, employment portal. But it's not that. It's just friends hire friends, and they don't want to have, and hiring is actually extraordinarily expensive. And so if they don't have to go through the rigmarole and they can get like a referral, it's cheaper. It's just like, really, it's cheaper. And so friends hire friends. So go make some more friends.
Yeah. And let me brag about my girl. One day she's at the DNC. The next week she's doing stuff for the Atlantic. Aundrea is truly representative of that kind of grind and that tenacity. And it's one of the things I really admire about her most. And I think we got a question in the chat, which kind of lends itself to that, Aundrea. Could you please share some tips for freelancers that are departing because of the current state of journalism?
Yeah, I mean, I think the question is, what do you want to do? Mm-hmm. There's no like specific prescription. What do you want to do? Where are those people? And how do you get in front of them? Mm-hmm. My system that has worked for me, because I'm not a person who's like, after my first job, my first job was in Macon, Georgia. I was making no money. I was poor like everybody else. And I ended up leaving, and it was the collapse. Right. And so I was out of news for 9 months, and I was terrified. And that's why I'm so passionate about this, because I was terrified and I was desperate. I was so desperate, and I was crying all the time. And I was like, oh, my God, like, is my life over? I did all this stuff. I went to college for this, blah, blah, blah. And I had to take the only job that I got. And I told myself, ever since then, I said, I will never be in a position ever again to where I feel this way, where I am begging, like literally begging people for a job. So ever since then, I just started to get to know more people. And I was always gunning for the next thing when I was in the thing. So I never got comfortable in the thing, because I was like, this thing could end, and I'm always looking for the next thing. So I knew that I wanted to get to the Northeast. Really, DC was home. And so I started meeting, I was like, I'm going to meet all the news directors in DC, Philly, Baltimore. I had no desire to go to New York. Like, everybody's like, New York. I did not care. Okay. I cared nothing about New York. And I met them, and I was like, I'm not ready for a job yet, because people like to meet you before you need anything from them. And I was like, I'm going to establish a relationship, and I'm going to cultivate this relationship over time. So after that second job, every other job after that, even that second job, I had an agent at the time, but and he got me that job, but he didn't get me nothing else. I had parted ways with him. My biggest jobs I got on my own. And so yeah, I always over indexed in relationships because I knew my resume always, it was difficult. Like it was like difficult for me to just rely on my resume alone. So I always had to over index on relationships because I was trying to work, right? And I was just like, my resume is not doing what it needs to do. So, but I know if you meet me and I am persistent, then we're going to make something happen. And so that's what I've done ever since. And so I did that in news, and I've just applied all of my journalism skills outside of news. And then when I get the jobs, I over index in the jobs, and I do a really great job. So then they recommend me for other things, and I can talk about everything that I'm doing. I talk about it on LinkedIn. I'm not ashamed.
Yeah.
I'm not ashamed at all.
Yeah. And Katie, one other, it's kind of the perfect segue to our final point too. Lean into your passion, like Aundrea said. One thing I'm really grateful for outside of television news, my other big passion, I'm a huge, huge, huge aviation geek. And so
huge. White traffic controller over here.
Yes. And so like when that job at Alaska Airlines popped up for me, like I was like, oh my gosh, this is like perfect. It was like kismet, if you will, But I say that to say too, one of the things I regret when I got let go from CBS is that I didn't have that sense of agency that I have now. And I felt like I didn't have options. I had an agent who was worthless looking back, but I didn't take a look at what was happening around me. And especially now, 2024 has been a horrible, horrible year when it comes to media globally. I mean, in New Zealand, there's a whole network that collapsed that's owned by Warner Brothers, an American company. Like the media landscape is changing globally. And so if you are joining us today and you were part of the layoffs, like, please take a look around. And it's not saying that you can't still do journalism, like we said earlier. Maybe you need to transition to digital, and like maybe you need to like emerging forms of media. This is the time to really put some fresh goggles on and to give a really 360 view of what's happening around you. And also ask yourself, what else could you do that brings you joy? I get asked a lot, and I'm sure Aundrea gets asked it a lot. Would you ever go back? Would you? I have not missed it. I still, in my job, I still get to storytell every day. I am part of huge meetings that power LinkedIn's global, that really power LinkedIn's offices and influences their global corporate offices. Like I get to partner with higher like CEOs, vice presidents, and write for them. And so when they're giving a speech or something like that, those are my words coming out of them. Like, you know what I mean? Like everything that I loved about TV news and being a journalist, I still get to do now. I travel all the time with my job. That's one thing I love to hate a little bit when I was at network, but I am a big traveler. Like I said, I'm an av geek. So everything that I loved about being a journalist, I still do. And I'm grateful for that now. And this is not, the rewrite is not about telling you need to go into corporate space or you need to go be in a communications role. We've worked with people who are, one guy is a pilot. He's studying to be a commercial airline pilot. Whoop, whoop. I know I've worked with someone who's an actress. Like this is really the time for you to really take a look at your life and ask yourself, what else could you do that would bring you joy? And that is a powerful moment for you. And it's up to you to really seize it.
And it's okay if you don't know the answer.
Yeah, no, totally.
People kept asking me, what do you want? And I was like, to sleep.
Yeah.
I'm so exhausted. Like I'm so just overstimulated with everything and overwhelmed that I was just like, I just need to sleep. Yeah. And I don't know anything. I have no answers right now. And I had to be okay with not having answers, but I couldn't stop asking myself the questions over and over. And I fumbled and I bumbled and whatever. But I had to be honest, like, I don't want to do PR.
Mm-hmm.
And I did a little thing because I have a friend who that was like also like money I got immediately because she was just like, I got something, whatever. And I was like, okay, it's money. And I was like, I hate it so much. I cannot do it. And that's kept me stuck for a long time, because I was like, well, if I don't want to do PR, like, do I have a job? Like, what else is out there? That's what journalists do. They do PR and then they become university professors. For a long time, I went to be a university professor. And then I was like, I don't want to teach other people's children. Like, I absolutely don't do that. You know, like, that is actually, I find that to be like, I don't want to deal with them. I don't want to deal with, I don't do that.
Yeah.
And I was like, and they don't pay enough for me for what I, you know, like, for all that effort and hand holding. I was like, no, that sounds miserable. And then I was like, well, what is it going to be? And I think the rewrite is great because Don and I have taken like very different paths, but we're very fulfilled in the paths that were taken, just to show you. And we bring people on who have taken very different paths. We had a travel writer on who is exploring her ancestry, and she writes about it for different outlets. Like, literally, you are your biggest barrier in terms of what you can dream for yourself. Because while we were grinding, you know, we've been in the game for a minute, right? We're grown. And while we were grinding, all of this stuff was happening out here. Digital economy was blowing up. Corporations went from not caring about their comms department to having their comms department in every single room, right? Like, whenever I think Terry said this, whenever a big decision is made in a corporation, a comms person is in the room when that decision is made and has a say on how it's going to happen. So it's like a very important role and job. And so that's the thing. That's why we say, what is it that you want? And so I always say, not what you think you can get. What is it that you actually want? Let's start from there.
Some more questions.
Yeah. By over-indexing on relationships without making it transactional. So I have a serve first mentality. So I always try to talk to people and figure out what it is that they love and try to give them information that might help them. So I'm not coming always asking. I mean, it doesn't mean that you don't ask for help. I mean, if you need help, you need to ask for help. But it's like a mutually beneficial relationship. So tell me what you do. Have you ever thought about this for, you know, your business? Or like, you know, we used to do this, or, you know, like, people struggle with their social media, like struggle. I'm in the small business community now, and I'm learning business, but also they struggle with social media. So when I'm talking to people, they're teaching me business. I'm teaching them how to have an on-camera presence and how to connect with their customer. So we're serving each other. In our deficiencies, right? And also it's like not putting all your eggs in one basket. So getting to know as many people as possible. And I only do it with people that I like who I actually feel like are cool, like who I would like go have a drink with. So it can be genuine. I just don't want to hang with people I just don't like. And I tell them my story. And I always say, Candy Carter, who used to be Tamron Hall's EP, she told me this. I interviewed her, and she's changed her career many, many times. She used to be at the Oprah show. She did Tamron Hall. She was the EP of The View. And she said, networking is like putting balls in the air. You throw one ball up, you throw another ball up. It's not your job to connect the dots. Somebody else is going to connect the dots for you, but you're going to try to have as many balls up in the air. And that imagery always stayed with me of like, it's not my job to connect the dots. My job is to make really genuine connections and really care about people, which is what I would do anyway. Yeah. And that's part of my equation of what's actually worked for me. And I never stopped doing it. Yeah. Another thing that I wanted to say is that I make friends on LinkedIn. Like, and so there was a guy who was a recruiter for a big media company that all of us know. And he just left, and I was talking to him. And then he introduced me to somebody who's still with this big media company. She's very high up. And I was asking her for the rewrite of like, what's down the pike, right? Like, what are you seeing? And she was talking about how digital, that's where the growth area is. Streaming, that's where the growth area is. So if you want to stay in, those are the places that you really need to lean towards, is the digital, the streaming spaces. She said that specifically. But then she also said, nobody knows what next year is going to hold. Yeah. This is somebody who has access to executives, right? And she's in HR. So she's been having a lot of these layoff conversations, and she's like, nobody knows. So it is a toss up right now, which is why we're being very specific about companies are going to take care of themselves. You've got to take care of yourself. We're not saying you need to launch anything right now, but if you start working your plan will work for you. The longer you have, the better.
Yeah. What kind of events do you like to go to meet people?
This is my favorite. Like when I moved to New York, I went to Eventbrite because I was like, oh my God, the city is going to swallow me up. I went to Eventbrite every single week, and I scrolled Eventbrite and I looked, and I've gone to like the weirdest things, but I've also been to the coolest things. So Eventbrite, and I would tell myself I'm not paying more than $10, right? And this is when I worked the morning shift too. So there's really like no excuse. So I would come home because I was like so desperate to be like, I was like, I don't know what the hell's going on here. I need to get the hell out, and I need an exit strategy, and I need to learn something. Let me just sit in a room, and maybe by osmosis, something will hit me in the head, right? I can meet that person. That's like an unlock for me, right? So that's how I meet people. I also, when I lived in Nashville, they had an entrepreneurship center. This is what I always had, an entrepreneurial spirit, but I never thought I'd be a business owner. And they had like a coffee and bagel morning, whatever. And so it's like 8:30 in the morning, and somebody from the community would just come and talk. And so I went to that. You know, being in TV, you get a lot of free stuff. Here's a free, I would get like, you know, there's a free conference and whatever. And it's like, nobody would ever go, child, you tell me free, stay. Right? I'm gonna get something for a discount and for free. So I just would sit in rooms and meet people. Another thing would be, I went to conferences. I paid for stuff. Like I invested in myself. So I would go to conferences that weren't, you know, that had nothing to do with journalism. It might be comms. I was like, I need to learn more about comms. And so I pay money and go to these conferences and sit there and try to learn something and meet people. And that's how I've met people. The woman who opened the door for, it was like $3,000. I sat next to her at a luncheon at this conference. And the thing too is that the conferences, when I didn't have money, I'd say, hey, can I like pack boxes, or like, I have no shame. Maybe that's it. I have zero shame. So I will ask for, if there's a scholarship, I will apply for a scholarship. NBC had like this Know Your Value program. I didn't like my job. And so I was like, I don't know what this is, but it gets me out of work. And, you know, it was like a conference, and I'm a conference girly. And I was like, I'm going to nominate myself. That, I made good friends there. Like, it's all around you. You just got to look for it.
Yeah. And J Square too, you know, I think, you know, with the pandemic, there's still a lot of virtual events. Maybe start trying to find like virtual hangouts or things like that that'll make you feel a little more comfortable. Start there. But I would also challenge you to push through what's making you not a fan of those networking type events, because you've got to, it's a key in this kind of job market, and sort of like start to dissect that a little bit and just push yourself a little bit, even if it makes you uncomfortable, because you're going to reap the benefits of doing it for sure.
And I would actually suggest against journalism events. We already know how to do that. We've been there, done that, got the t-shirt. We don't need to do any more journalism events. You got to get outside of the bubble. And the organizations are not pushing people outside of the bubble enough. And so you got to get outside of the bubble. And so people have said Luma and Partiful. So that is great.
Yeah, and there's always like a young professionals. I live in Seattle, and there's always like a young tech professionals event going on here. So look, you know, that's a good starting point for you as well, as you're looking for events.
And your college, your alumni association.
Yeah, college. Yeah.
I joined my alumni. There was like for the minority alumni, I joined the board of one of those years ago. And that has been, I mean, that's been great. Like, I love them. And so there's your tentacles are a lot further than you give yourself credit for. You are intertwined with your faith community.
Yeah.
You know, your gym. You take a gym class, you play basketball, you play softball, like go make friends who are not journalists. Like Go make friends who are not journalists at all and do something that's fun with them, like where it's like a shared love and you can kind of geek out on that together and get to know them. And then, you know, they want to help you.
Yeah, no, for sure.
All right. We are rounding out here to the end. Let's
recap here.
Yes. So how much money do you have in your savings account? For real, not project how much money is in there right now. How much money are you going to get in a severance package? You can also negotiate your severance. Don't forget that. What's your real budget? And is there anything you could reasonably cut? We're not talking about scarcity budget. We're not talking about oodles and noodles. Remember, we want you to live a reasonable life. What adds value to your life? What is not adding value? Who are the top 3 people you can call today who can link you to new opportunities or make an introduction? They cannot be people in journalism. 3 people outside of the business who can, maybe they could be forever journalists where they're not currently in a traditional media space, but they cannot be currently active journalists. They're in the same boat as you. You need somebody who's in a different boat. What are the 5 things you're most proud of in your career so far? Write them down. 5 things. Sign up for one event this week to attend that has nothing to do with news. Not one thing. Go by yourself. No matter if you're uncomfortable, just go by yourself. It's fine. It gets easier the more you do it. What else could you do that brings you joy? Start dreaming. Start dreaming again. And that is just kind of the start. So before we actually get to the blueprint, let's talk about the course. Because what we've done, I'm going to age myself. It's like Garmin, for the GPS, like recalculating. We have put you in the right direction. Now it's like, okay, how do we act on this? How do we actually make this happen? The best way to do it is through the rewrite course. We start in a week, y'all. So ain't no extra time. Think about it. We done sent you 100 emails about it, but the rewrite course, what is it? It is an intensive program. It's 4 weeks. It will last longer, but there's 4 weeks of live programming. It'll last. You'll have access to everything for longer than that. But we're taking a 360 degree view. If you're like, I need my hand held, like I need to be walked through this process, that's what we're here to do. We talk about your mental health, dealing with the toxic newsroom, dealing with what you have seen, what you have heard, what you have experienced.
Imposter syndrome.
All of that. We talk about that. We, if you're like, our biggest question, what are my transferable skills? You will get a career assessment, as you saw in that video, more than 20 pages that just outlines, it ranks it, your transferable skills and the jobs and industries that you will be aligned for. It's an assessment on steroids. I took it last year, and it was really helpful for me. Then we're going to talk about how to storytell, how to start telling your story online. So you're not just applying. You can start attracting opportunities. And then we have a recruiter who has nothing to do with news to really talk about what your resume needs to look like, and also pulls the curtain back on the hiring process so you can really know what you're getting into, so you can make sure that you're optimizing that opportunity. And that's just the live sessions. There are also self-guided modules that you take at your own pace. And we talk about a lot of different things. We have an attorney to talk about your contracts. We have more mental health work. We have, Don really talking about how he stays creative in his career. And then I go more in depth in terms of networking. It is everything we wish we had. We have tapped people who helped us in our transition to help you and yours. It is very personal to us. Yeah. And we stay with you. And the people who are in the course get more benefits. Like, we also have our blueprint.
Yes.
This is a brand new program that's launching on November 2nd. It is our summit that we're going to have 11:30 to 3:30. a hands-on workshop where we are going to take you even, we're going to take you deeper, talking about layoffs. How are layoffs happening? Renee Washington used to be the former news director, VP of News at KMBC. She's pulling the curtain back on what's really going on in HR right now. You are going to be stunned. She talks about how to remain resilient and how to know if your number is going to be called, what you really need to start looking out for in your day-to-day. And so I'm going to be talking about digging in more about when you're trying to figure out what do you need to do next. We're going to be digging into that a lot more. Don is going to be talking about how to use our transferable skills guide. Hopefully everybody has that free guide.
If not, it's on our website.
Yes, it is on our website. It's a free guide. It is a way to translate your resume so it can meet a broader audience. And then monetizing your expertise. This is Ariel Dean is a dear friend of mine. She's also my business coach. And so one thing that happens to a lot of people is that their severance runs out. So that number that they have is not long enough. It's taking me between 3 and 6 months for people to find a job, more upwards of 6 months. So if you find yourself in a position where your severance is running out, or your savings is running out, and you still haven't gotten that opportunity, we're going to talk about how to monetize your expertise so you can get a few $1,000s in, so you can figure out how to make some money while you're waiting for that opportunity to come. And it's not, it's about making money like in bigger sums and not $500 here. We're talking about like really so you can pay your bills, not a full-time job, but how can you create a package with your skills and sell that package so you can get money in to buy yourself time. When it comes to this, you need to buy yourself time. If you join the rewrite course, this summit on November 2nd is free. If you want to do the summit alone, it was going to be $99, but if you buy it today, what did we say it was today?
$69.
$69 if you buy it today. So again, you have until midnight. The people who get the best results are the ones who take action. They're off the sidelines. They go into the deep water. So everybody who has taken the rewrite course, our first cohort and this next cohort that starts next week, they will get this for free. Those who only want to do this, just for today only, it's $69. After today, it'll be $99. And so go ahead to the chat, and Don has put the link. So let's put the link. Do you mind just identifying the course and the?
Yeah, I'll show you guys the main. So our main website is
putting it in the link.
Oh yeah, it's in the chat. I put it there in the chat for you guys. Yeah. Here you go. Oh, where did it go? Oh, here we go. So it's Start Your Rewrite. There's a banner right on the main page where you can go to the summit page if you want to go there. But it's all at startyourrewrite.com.
And to get that special price for today, and again, it will expire on the East Coast at midnight. It's Rewrite 30.
Yeah.
Put in Rewrite 30 as the discount code, and it will be $69. And the course is $575. The course plus, like it's insane how we're able to at this price. The course plus this November 2nd is well over. If you wanted to talk to all these people by yourself, it will be over $2,000.
Yeah,
easily over $2,000. All the people, all the experts that we have been able to curate. Don, can you put the course link in the chat as well?
Yep.
That's the best value, is getting the course. So the course again is 4 weeks, starting October 21st, which is next Monday, will be the first live session. And then it goes until November 11th for the live sessions, but you'll have access to the course and replays until after Thanksgiving.
Yes. And we have some success stories to share, even from our first cohort that we're really, really proud of. Let me pull them up here. Liz Cohen Printup, she was a television news producer for many years. And she just recently, after being part of our first cohort of the Rewrite course, she just started a new job as the Senior Marketing and Communication Specialist at the Colorado Housing and Finance Authority. In a LinkedIn post, she gave credit to us for just helping to empower her and helping her to identify her transferable skills, saying that the course was really instrumental in helping her identify those skills and just really on how to articulate them as well through her interview process. And then we also had Jessica. You want to talk a little bit about Jessica, Aundrea?
Yes, Jess, dogged investigative reporter. She's going to go after you. She's fantastic at her job. Just a few weeks after completing the Rewrite course, she was all in. Y'all, her and Liz were all in. And just a few weeks later, she got a brand new role as the Director of Communications for Voices for a Safer Tennessee, which is a bipartisan nonprofit advocating for responsible firearm access. And what I love about Jess's story too is that she really cares about the community. So helping people be like responsible gun owners is like totally in her wheelhouse of how she shows up in the world. So she is very aligned in terms of what they're doing and what she's able to do. And also I'd like to highlight that she is the Director of Communications. She has a management role. So does Liz. She also has a management role. So that's just something for you to know. They took the course. And they were all in. I did one-on-ones with them prior to, so I know their story. We don't tell people's story unless they tell their story, but I know their story. And they had tried on their own and it didn't work. And so they got a return on their investment in weeks. We have other people too. Again, we don't tell people's story if they don't tell their story, right? But there are other people who are now making money. They haven't left their reporting roles or they haven't left their roles, but they are making money that they weren't going to make before because they have taken these skills and they have operationalized it because they were all in. And again, there are a number of people who made their money back, like literally within a month.
Yeah.
One check. Yeah. More than like a fraction of one check, and they made their money back. So
and we also have there's also payment plans through Klarna, so we give you that option as well if you're signing up for the course. And again, the website is startyourrewrite.com. This is about a mind shift and it's taking action. So thank you all for joining us today. I think we got through all the questions. Did we?
Wait, no, we've got some. No. One was about the assessment. Okay, we'll be offering the course in January, probably not January. It takes a lot to offer this course. Like it is like, so probably later, not January. It's a lot. So we want to make sure that we can give people what they need and that we're hands-on and that we have the bandwidth to do it. So probably not January. This is the last time we're offering it this year. So you really want to get on board and not delay. Talking about the assessment, this is a career assessment that I took last year. And it takes your values, your skills and industries and triangulates it. And it gives you a list. And in order, it prioritizes it of your transferable skills, which is the number one question that we got asked. Basically, we created this course by taking that survey that you all took when you signed up. And we went through every answer, more than 100, right? And we said, how can we find, or every question, and we asked, how can we find the answer to every question that people have asked us? And how can we package it in a way that can be accessible to folks? And so, so the classes, so let me just finish with the assessment. So the assessment is, so it does that, it's more than 20 pages and it will tell you the jobs you should look into, and you click on the jobs and then it tells you what that job is. If a job needed a certification, you can put in your zip code and it will tell you where to do that. You put in your zip code, it will tell you where job openings are in your community because it's interfaced with the Department of Labor. So you will see open jobs in your community based on how it's prioritized. it would also tells you like what communities you will thrive in, what you need from a workplace. So you will get a list of what are your values in a workplace. So you're not just getting some other job. You can actually be in a place where you can thrive. And it's an environment that you can thrive in. And that's always our goal. Classes are, okay, so the live sessions are on Monday nights. We hang out just like this. Monday night, 7:30. That's why we did it. Monday night, 7:30. So you can get used to it. Join us again next week. Monday night, 7:30. The week after, Monday night, 7:30. And the thing is that people get people get used to, all right, we're going to hang out like Monday night, 7:30. So, and everything builds on one another. So again, we just need you to show up, and we just need you to be open, and we just need you to be willing to do the work, and we'll take care of the rest.
Yeah. And if you're not able to make that live session, you are able to see a recording of it.
Yes.
And one of the things I really loved, Aundrea and I were talking about this a few weeks ago. One thing that we loved about our first cohort was that everyone kind of started off in their own kind of bubble, not, wanting to be anonymous. And by the end of it, it was like a community. Like it really was a community. People were like, people got to know each other and stuff like that. So you leave with other people who are who are going after the same thing you're going after. It can help you as well and empower you. And that was something that we were really, I wasn't expecting, but it was a great result of it as well.
Oh, you kept on saying, I would hire you.
Yeah, exactly.
The classes are actually an hour and a half. We tried to do an hour, but there was so much hands-on work happening, and we wanted to get to everybody's questions. And so they end up really being like an hour and a half. People are like, you get your LinkedIn critiqued, you get your resume critiqued. Like, it's hands-on, like it's for real hands-on. And so we want to make sure that we do it. And our experts, man, are dope because they love it so much. And they're like, okay, you can get a consultation with me for free. They offer their services. Now, these are people where it's hundreds of dollars to go see them, but they are so invested in this, and they're like all in, that they're always like, okay, you can talk to me about this after, please contact me and stuff like that. So it's fantastic.
And again, even if you can't make it in the rest of the course is like kind of automated. And you have a space where you can put in your question too if you can't make it. So whatever your questions are, you're going to get them answered either way, if you attend it live or you have to watch the recording afterwards. The rest of the course is self-guided, so it's video content that you can watch on your own kind of time. So
And another thing that happened, Don, is that because when people do that, then they're like, really, they feel a part of community, right? Like this can be just, we don't impose ourselves on you. You can just read an email if that's what you want to do, or you can be in the deep with us. And we had somebody who was in the course email us like, hey, okay, I've got this opportunity, but I don't even know how to navigate it. And so Don and I were able to tag team and say, okay, here's something that I've used. Here's this. And Don's like, this is what you need to charge. And this is it. And she was like, oh my God, I feel so much better because I'm in, a circumstance that I'm not privy to, but we were able to tag team and help out and make sure that she's getting what she needs, or they're getting, whoever's getting what they need. Because we have, different experience. We've been privy to a lot of other things. So that's a joy for us to do when you go in the deep with us, we go in the deep with you. You are not there by yourself.
Yep, most definitely.
Yeah. Any other questions? We are at an hour. I don't see any other ones.
No. So again, the website is startyourrewrite.com. That's where you can sign up for the course and for the workshop on November 2nd. Again, if you use the discount code Rewrite30, you can get your seat to the workshop for only $69 today. That offer ends at midnight Eastern Standard Time. So,
We have one question. Is there one-on-ones? I do one-on-ones. They're in the emails. And so I have a Calendly, and you can just sign up for a one-on-one with me. So that's just getting an email, being with me. So you can do a one-on-one with me.
Awesome.
And so I'm just traveling this week. So there's nothing I don't think there's anything for the rest of this week or next week. I will be out of town, but then after that. So so that's why y'all just need to go ahead and sign up. Okay. Like let's not delay, like for real. Let's not delay. Course is the best value. You get like, we have literally put the kitchen sink, everything. And I told the woman, like really quickly, the executive, I was telling her about this, whatever. I'm trying to get insight. And she was like, you have literally, because she literally sits in the layoff conversations. And so she gets people's like feedback. And she was like, you all have literally thought of everything.
Yeah.
And we have.
Yeah.
And we have. So fantastic. So again, for the course, you got till Friday to sign up for the course. Like we can't be going back and forth much longer. So for us, Friday, the 18th, today was supposed to be the last day of enrollment, but we announced this extra thing. So enrollment will last until Friday. Payment plans are available. Choose Klarna at checkout.
Yep.
And you can get your payment plan down. That's fine. November 2nd, if you buy it today, it is $69. After today, it will be $99. After today, it will be $99. After today, it will be $99. Okay,
Yes.
so we're paying these people who come, like they're not doing this for free. Like people have to be paid. So take advantage. Take advantage. So.
Well, thanks for joining us. And of course, we're here. If you have any more questions, sign up for a one-on-one and definitely read your emails. We have a lot of information, a lot of exciting things coming up as well. So thanks so much for your time today. Aundrea, hope you feel better as well.